Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition. Today we're going to do a quick Q&A. I'm going to try to keep it under 10 minutes about dreams and the most common questions I get about dreams, and we're going to talk about it. So, first question. Why can't I remember my dreams? People ask me that all the time. So, why can't you remember your dreams? Very easy answer. There's a zillion ways you can look at this. The one that resonates the most with me is that dreams are, before I even answer this, I'm going to start with something else. This is the most important space you're going to have in the beginning of your ascension process and becoming more conscious. Dreaming, the dream world, sleeping, it is your most powerful state. So anyone who clicked on this video and they saw it was about dreams and they were about to click off, don't do it yet. Because learning how to respect the dream world is pivotal in ascending your consciousness. It is not wasted time. You will find you start working more in the dream space than you do when you're actually awake, because they eventually merge and flip and you don't get downtime. You'll work just as much when you're sleeping than when you're awake. I usually try to get most of my work done when I'm sleeping. So when I get up and do the reality the next day, it's a lot easier. So hang with me on these, hang with me on this video. So, dreaming, why don't you remember them? When you go to sleep, the frequency of your body can increase because your soul, its frequency gets bigger, your soul expands more, and you're not bound by your human programming. You're not bound by the body. So your frequency is higher. So your consciousness raises. So you're able to see lots of other things going on with different aspects of yourself in the dream world. So you're seeing different yous in different places and different, I'm going to use the word time, but it's more vibrational. You're seeing you in a different vibration, all different vibrations all over the place. So when you wake up, your vibration starts to go back down. You're always going to be higher when you're sleeping. It's just, you always are. You're always going to be able to achieve a higher frequency when you're sleeping because you're not bound by the body. So once you're bound by the body, your frequency is going to go down. And you're not going to remember things that were in a frequency higher than you are in when you wake up. That's why you have sometimes a little bit of time, you remember pieces of it when you first wake up because your frequency hasn't returned to your, I'm going to call it a base frequency of when you're in your waking state. So it's a different frequency. You can't remember it. You'll know you achieve that frequency when something in the dream starts to play out in your waking life. Then you'll know you've achieved that frequency. So it leads to another important question I get. They're all important, but dreaming the future. Everyone dreams the future. Nobody is dreaming the past. And I'm going to have to preference that by saying you're technically not dreaming the future because there is no time. You're just dreaming a different vibration, which ties back into the first question. So you're dreaming a different vibration. It's happening somewhere. It's just not happening right here. So we discount it. A lot of people will tell me when they're going to talk about their dreams, oh, it's just, it was stupid or it didn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't make sense because it's like looking at somebody else's yearbook or looking at somebody else's vacation pictures. It's like out of context. It doesn't make any sense. Because you don't have the storyline around really what's going on, even though you get impressions about what's going on, because the consciousness is shared. So you get impressions about what's going on, but you might not know the entire story. That's why you might know someone is someone in your world. I'm going to call it your world, in your vibration, in this physical reality, but they didn't look the same because it was a different aspect of them, which is technically a different aspect of you. So you're never going to dream the past. You're never going to dream, you're never going to dream a past life because there's no such thing technically as a past life. It's just a different vibration, but it's all happening at the same time. You might dream something that appears to be a different time because there's something going on currently that matches the signature of that vibration. So that's why you're dreaming it now. That's why in your waking state, you might want to think about You might start thinking about or wondering about past lives because something currently going on, even though it's really not past, something currently going on has a similar energetic signature to something that is happening somewhere else. That's why you're thinking about, oh, I want to maybe I want to explore past lives or get a reading on past lives or whatever. Just understand it's really not a past life. It's current, just going on in a different vibration, but there's something similar frequency-wise that you're trying to explore. Your body's trying to open up to, something you want to understand more. That's why you're having the urge to do it. That's why it feels more important than it might have felt. That's why you can get someone to tell you about a past life if you're not maybe getting any of your own, but you're still kind of curious. And then someone will tell you about another one 3 years later. And you're like, well, why wasn't that one mentioned before? Or why didn't I remember that one before? It wasn't important now. You're only going to get what's important now. Your soul doesn't give a crap about what happened 5,000 years ago because it technically isn't happening 5,000 years ago. It doesn't matter. It only cares about what's really right now. It's just a similar frequency running through it. And that's why it has a relevancy now. It feels more important now. I had another question. Now I forgot what that was. So we're just going to keep going and see if I can remember, because I didn't script this. We'll see if I can remember any of the other important ones that are more frequent ones I get. Oh yes, dreaming the same thing over and over and over and over again. Why do I dream the same thing over and over and over again? Well, it's like anyone calling you on the phone over and over and over again. Or that scene in the first Harry Potter movie when they were trying to give him, the owls were coming in to give him his letter from Hogwarts, and they kept trying to reject the letter. And they kept moving all over the place, and more owls came and more letters came. You're trying to get your own attention. That's basically what's going on. So it's saying something like if something kept repeating in your waking life, you would pay more attention to it. But because it's a dream, for whatever reason, the human consciousness wants to discount that as not important. But if you're dreaming something repeatedly, I will guarantee you it has an importance. It is trying to tell you something. What is it trying to tell you? Now, if you can't really get a beat on it on your own, I never recommend dream dictionaries because they're just someone's impression of what it means to them. You can use it as guidance if it helps you in the beginning to start opening up more and getting more stuff coming through. So you might want to go there sometimes if you feel drawn to it. I don't. Maybe I did like 10 years ago. I don't anymore though, because you're going to have your own identification to it, and what that means to you. How did you feel when you woke up? That's a big one. If you're waking up and you're feeling a lot of dread and you're dreaming the same thing over and over, start to pay attention to it. It's trying to tell you something. I don't really like to say some things are warning dreams, but I will say things that are traumatic to our human, nothing's really traumatic to our soul, but to our human, some things can happen that can feel traumatic. We might lose our job. We might lose someone close to us. Someone might break up with us. Someone might leave. We might have some financial thing, which is hard for our human, but our soul doesn't care. It's just all different experiences. It doesn't mark anything as good or bad. But normally when something's going to happen that can be seen as a really big shift for a human, they will have had a heads up in the dream space. Part of that is your body, you're trying to prepare yourself for what's coming. So when it happens, you're not so shell-shocked by it. So you will see a lot of times, sometimes before people die, people will kind of know people are leaving ahead of time. They kind of have this feeling something's about to happen because they're cutting those cords of attachment in their dream state. So it's a very powerful state. How can I utilize it more? Some people will ask me that. Utilizing it more, ask. Ask what you want to work on in your dream state. If you want to see something, if you want to look at two different choices you have. One night dream about one choice, one night pick to look at the other choice. It's always, everything's happening all the time somewhere. So in some reality, you pick plan A, and in some reality, you pick plan B. You just want to look at each one and see how they look to you. How do they feel to you? Even if you have no memory of what you dreamed, you wake up the next day, just write down how you feel. It doesn't matter so much the scenes you see, it's the feeling you get. Dreams to me are all about feeling. I did dream a lot differently 15 years ago, a lot differently. 5-6 years ago, a lot differently. You get to the point where your consciousness gets to a place where you don't have to be in the dream state to see different things. You start to get your vibration of your body up high enough where you can see a lot going on. You don't have to go to the dream state to see it, though you're always going to have more access there. But dreams do change as your consciousness changes. Your dreaming patterns are going to change. You're not going to, it's going to feel like you don't have as much access to stuff, but it's because you have so much access when you're awake. You kind of feel cut off a little bit when you're sleeping at some points because you're using it for other things. You stop using it to go out and see because you don't have to anymore. And you use it to clear things that are distorted in those timelines. And our mind gets all into it. So if we try to remember all of it, then our mind's going to get all around it. So we can get all around a dream, especially if it's kind of something, especially if it's something that feels very tragic to our human. Always the things that have that connotation of heavy and tragic is always to our human aspect. So if you dream something like that, a lot of people they want to kind of ignore it and just forget about it. I would say if it's something that you walk by in your waking state and it's a concern to you, you should at least explore it. Always be open to what you're dreaming because you are getting it for a reason and you might be open to it. It might just be a release of some emotions you're bottling up and then you feel like you don't need to go farther with it. But I'll always tell people, and this is going to be a little over 10 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up. I always tell people, until you have earned the right to understand what your dream space is telling you, don't discount it. You haven't explored the communication portals there and what you're trying to do in that state, what you're trying to explore in that state, to shut it off. And not even shut it off, because you can't really shut it off, but ignore it. You haven't earned that yet. If you're working with that space for years and years and years, you can start to say, oh, that was a clearing dream. I don't feel like I need to do anything with that. That one feels a little more important. Let me maybe do a little research on different words I got, different theories I'm thinking about now. I would pay, in the beginning for me, I paid a lot more attention to what happened right before I went to sleep and right before I woke up, because your frequency is not that much different. Usually that means something's coming pretty quick, because the frequency right before you wake up and the frequency right before you go to sleep are not that different from your waking state, which means it could be something coming quicker than something else you might dream. So, okay, we're going to wrap that up. That was my, 12 minutes on frequently asked dream questions. I might do a couple more of these on some different topics. So I am going to do an actual Zoom Q&A, I think in June. It's free. You can go on the website and sign up. So if anyone has other questions or they just want to come on Zoom and talk face-to-face or face-to-video, that is on the website, on the services page to sign up for that. So, okay, keep practicing the art of intuition.